Hey there, it's me again, Freg Lewis, and I'm going to be doing a reading of the entirety of the Fallout Bible. And these readings are going to be done about 10 pages at a time per video. The initial readings that I did for this project were actually done on a Blue Yeti microphone, and you can tell the quality difference because now I'm using a Rode NT1. Nonetheless, I'm going to include those recordings in this project as well as the new recordings with this new microphone. So I really hope you enjoy them as much as I did reading them. And as always, feel free to check out my other content as well as my channel portfolio for more.
Hi there, I'm Frank Lewis, and you may not know this, but I'm a major Fallout fan. So, I had an idea, and the idea was, what if I read the entirety of the Fallout Bible? It's a great idea, I would say. Fantastic for content, but, moreover, providing lore masters, the great lore masters, and everybody else who's interested, an opportunity to look into the past and to see what was inside the minds of Chris Avallone, Tim Kaine, Brian Fargo, legendary producers, the people who brought us our favorite series. So, that being said, let's begin.
Here is the complete reading of the Fallout Bible by Chris Avallone. Introduction. Once upon a time, Black Isle and Interplay had hopes of putting together Fallout 3. It was not meant to be, and a number of us moved on to different companies. I'm currently at Obsidian, still working on role-playing games, but I will always have a soft spot in my heart for the plans for Fallout 3 and the work we put into the Fallout series, including that scary voice acting session where Ron Perlman threatened my life. Even that. Sort of. I worked on the Fallout 3 concept for 3 to 4 years, sometimes with help, but usually alone. As part of the ramping up for full production, I did two things. First, I game mastered a series of Fallout pen and paper game sessions to test out new rules, perks, and the individual areas for Fallout 3 in front of a live studio audience, the other designers. And secondly, I put together a series of updates that contained information about the Fallout universe that I thought fans would like to see and respond to. The full compilation is collected here, courtesy of GOG.com. I hope you get as much enjoyment out of reading it as I did putting it together. Chris Avallone, Creative Director, Lead Designer, Obsidian Entertainment. The Fallout Bible, Section 0, January 15th through February 25th, 2002. Introduction. Black Isle Studios Message Boards. This Fallout Bible update is actually a compilation of 3 other previous updates that were posted on Fallout fan sites before the February 25th one, contained in the archives below. We're not trying to confuse you. We're just playing catch-up here. This is Update 0, if you will. If you've already seen the other updates on the net, this document doesn't contain anything new except there's a PDF version of it now. This may be the first Fallout Bible update you've seen on the Black Isle Studios site, but hopefully not the last. For those of you who haven't seen these before, the Fallout Bible is just a collection of all of the background material and hijinks from Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 compiled into one document so the fans can take a look at it. Some of it is a little rough, so if you see anything wrong or if you think of anything you'd like to see, drop me a line at cavallone@blackisle.com and I'll see what I can do. I can't promise I'll answer your emails immediately, but I will get around to it, usually when the weekend hits. In any event, these updates will now be appearing hopefully twice a month on every other Monday on the Black Isle Studios website, but you can usually find it not long after any of the Fallout fan sites across the web. The update should be next Monday, March 11th, pending some major catastrophe. Thanks for supporting Fallout. Chris Avallone at Black Isle. Disclaimers. 1. The information presented here is a rough draft and will need some heavy revision. But on some level, I wanted you guys to see the core information we had lying around so you can see some of the ideas that were being batted around. Ideally, the information contained in these updates will be revised in the future based on your comments and possible evidence gathered from within the game. Some of the people that put this documentation together, me and others, don't have nearly as much knowledge of the facts within the game as some of you fans out there. Mistakes and inconsistencies are bound to crop up. When they do, we'll do our best to correct them. 2. I have gotten all the emails on the Bible, I have read them all, and even if I don't have time to respond to each one, special apologies to Jason Michael, I still have to read the P&P game fully. Please keep additional questions coming. I want to know everything you want to know. 3. Some of the information you'll see in the Fallout Bible is going to be incomplete. The reason for this is because if we ever do a future Fallout project, I don't want to write Black Isle into a corner, we want to leave some holes to fill in ourselves, or holes to escape out of. So forgive the sins of omission when they crop up. Just consider them extra fuel for fanfiction plotlines. 4. The information contained within this documentation could ruin many of the surprises in Fallout 1 and 2, so readers should be aware that there are plenty of spoilers contained within the information below. 5. I also just wanted to say if you guys ever have any movie or book suggestions that you think have interesting material relating to the Fallout genre, don't hesitate to email me. Again, my contact information is cavalone@blackisle.com. I may not be able to respond to every email you send, but I guarantee I will read them all and try to give you a response when I can. 6. To the above, I would also add any music suggestions for 50 style tunes. We're running a Fallout pen and paper game at work and I need the theme music pretty badly. 7. Suggestions for material to include in the Bible, questions about Fallout events, and suggestions for good source material are welcome. But I can't give hints or walkthroughs for the game, provide technical support, answer questions outside of Fallout 1 or 2, or read fanfiction or fan-created material for Fallout. 8. All of these updates will be collected into a huge honking document at some point. The doc you're reading now is just one of many rough drafts you're likely to see. 9. And if you ever need to satisfy your Fallout cravings and you have a few friends with the same craving and some dice, I strongly recommend you check out Jason Michael's pen and paper Fallout role-playing game at http://www.iamapsycho.com/fallout/index.htm. Don't let the web address fool you. Jason's a nice guy. 10. All of the Pip-Boy pictures in this document are courtesy of BIS artist Brian Menze, who did work on Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Torment, Torn, Icewind Dale, Heart of Winter, and now Icewind Dale 2. 11. Translators be warned, the information below may undergo revisions based on feedback, so you might want to wait until the next update to make sure any information below stays solid. Thanks for supporting Fallout. Chris Avalone, down here at Black Isle Studios. Answer me these questions here. Here are 3 huge questions courtesy of Sean McGrory. 1. Why was it that so many ghouls left Necropolis between Fallout 1 and 2 to settle in Broken Hills and Gecko? Is Necropolis empty now? Also, why was it that Harold joined the ghouls? I remember him talking as if he weren't a ghoul. When you type in ghouls in the question box in the first Fallout, he refers to ghouls as them. Answer. Ghouls still have the human need to expand and move on, and in the 80-plus years between Fallout 1 and 2, the ghouls spread out from Necropolis in all directions, and some had even left before the events in Fallout 1. Necropolis is not empty now. Ghouls are still said to reside there, though Set is no longer their leader. It is not clear whether he is alive or dead. Harold joined the ghouls in Fallout 2 because Harold is a kindly sword who likes to help people. When he sees a group of people trying to make their way in the wasteland, he tries to step in and give them a leg up, especially when it can benefit life for everyone. Wherever a key event in Fallout has occurred, Harold always seems to be right there in the middle of things, helping to push the world along and make it a better place. His wit is a little dry and raspy, but he's got a good heart. Harold is not a ghoul, but he is a mutant. What happened to him inside the military base during his assault with Francine, Mark, and Richard Gray is unknown, but it is likely that he was exposed to the FEV virus and changed. His last known memory after the attack was passing out and then waking back up in the wasteland. Changed. 2. Does FEV really cause sterility? In Fallout 1, it seemed like the answer was a resounding yes, and a number of reasons for this were given by Zax and Vree. But then in Fallout 2, after you take Marcus to the cat's paw, he says, "I hope she doesn't get pregnant," and then says that the FEV doesn't make mutants grow sterile, it just takes a few years to get the juices flowing again. Moreover, the Deathclaws in Vault 13 were infected with FEV, and yet they are able to reproduce. So, does the FEV cause sterility or not? Answer. FEV causes sterility in some creatures. FEV does cause sterility in super mutants and ghouls. Marcus's comment in New Reno was a joke only, and it was an inappropriate one for which I apologize for. For other creatures, however, the FEV does not cause sterility. In fact, it may actually speed up their reproductive cycles in tandem with Potential drawbacks. Known species that can reproduce after being mutated with the FEV include most species of rats, the mantises, who are known to have bred so fast they covered Salt Lake City area like blankets, the rat scorpions, and the deathclaws. This is only a partial list. The deathclaws in Vault 13 are a special case. As part of the Enclave experiments, they were bred as fighting packs for the government. They were not supposed to be able to reproduce, but they were attempting to do so at the time of Fallout 2. It is extremely likely that the Enclave scientists would not have wanted the deathclaws to breed on their own for fear of losing control of them, but that doesn't mean they would have made mistakes in engineering limiters or sterility in them. The Wanamingos are a result of FEV virus experiments, but they are now becoming sterile. They are not aliens, but word is they were designed as FEV-tailored weapons for waging war on other countries, and they got loose. They do live a long time, but they were dying out at the time of Fallout 2. They have only been sighted in the Fallout 2 area and nowhere else in the Wastelands. The eggs you see in Fallout 2 are the last generation of Wanamingos to exist in the Wasteland. The young Wanamingos seen in Fallout 2 will perish in 5 years, and their parents a few years before that. An internal genetic clock will simply stop ticking, and they'll fall over dead. The Wanamingos are a vicious mutant breed that had their moment in the sun, and now their sun has set. To put the tombstone on their extinction, the largest known nest of Wanamingos were wiped out when the Great Wanamingo Mine was reclaimed by Redding with the help of a traveling tribal. The mother was killed, and the last remaining eggs were hunted down, stepped on, and then the remains were examined by local scientists and doctors who came to the extinction conclusions mentioned above. Again, Wanamingos are not aliens. They are a curious mutant, or genetically designed fighting machine that has only been able to find a home in the cold, dark places of the wastes. It is possible that the Wanamingos were old Enclave experiments, or even experiments from before the Great War, and if this is true, then it's likely their genetic or biological dead man switch was purposefully engineered to keep them from breeding past a certain generation. If you want them to live for fan fiction, pen and paper role-playing campaign purposes, or for your own peace of mind, feel free to have some of them survive the stopping of their genetic clock. In the Black Isle universe, however, the little buggers are already dead, and their irradiated shells are scattered along the floor of abandoned mines throughout Northern California, where they make nice crunching noises when you step on them. 3. Are the rad scorpions a product of the FEV virus? When you talk to the doctor, Raslo in Shady Sands, he tells you that they were once American emperor scorpions, but he has no idea how they mutated because radiation alone couldn't have done it. For that matter, what about all of the other creatures in the wastelands? Which ones have been mutated by FEV and which ones haven't? Maybe in the bestiary, each creature could have a stat that shows its level of FEV infection. Answer. The rad scorpions are a result of a combination of radiation and the FEV virus, and Raslo and Shady Sands is correct. They were originally emperor scorpions that have grown big. FEV-infected critters in the wasteland include almost all of the ones you've seen in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Mantises, most species of rats, gecko lizards, brahmin, scorpions, ants, various varieties of plants, including the Venus flytrap. Rumor has it some dogs were affected, but no one's seen any, so for now that's just rumor. Of course, the centaurs are a mash of human, dog, and various other parts, but hey, who knows how that mutation came about? Gray was probably messing around in one of his labs. Creatures not mutated by the FEV probably did not survive the aftermath of the Great War, with the possible exception of cockroaches and perhaps normal ants, though there are FEV-infected versions of these species. No one knows where these bird noises in Vault City came from. I'll try to include a chart of FEV-infected creatures in future editions, as well as other critters that you may not have seen in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Most likely, a great majority of insects were affected. They tend to breed much faster, and their mutations tend to become evident pretty quickly as the generations advance, possibly beetles, some spiders, cockroaches, and other creatures.
More questions. This submission, we answer a question from Michael Ward. I read the start thing of the Bible that's on the net. One thing I don't agree with in the Fallout universe is that the vaults were just a bunch of social experiments. I mean, why? Even though the Enclave were a bunch of assholes, why would they want to purposefully see their own countrymen die when the vaults were society's last chance at good survival? I'd like to think that lots of people died because the vaults just didn't work. Like in FOT, there is a terminal that says that money had been diverted from much needed common sense things to an underground game hunting facility or whatever it was. Experiments were a bit over the top, but corruption is far more believable. That's what I think anyhow. In Fallout 3, is it a possibility or not? Michael. Answer. The Vault experiments were an idea created by Tim Kaine, and I don't really know the reason behind them, but I can offer some speculation. First off, thematically, it's pretty creepy.
and we all know that developers will pull all sorts of crazy shit to try and mess with the players' heads. It's possible that Tim had just finished watching an X-Files episode and had the conspiracy theories swimming around in his subconscious. As to your comment about the experiments being a bit over the top, well, yeah, we're guilty as charged. Secondly, as proven time and time again in Fallout 2, the Enclave isn't a particularly rational bunch of fellows. Thematically, they embrace a paranoid view of the world and a heightened sense of superiority over everybody else in Fallout. Third, the federal government, or whatever branch of federal government was responsible, it wasn't necessarily the Enclave, may not have ever considered the vaults as society's best chance for survival. The government may have considered themselves as the best candidates for rebuilding the world and already had their asses covered in the event of nuclear or biological war by relocating to other remote installations across the nation, and elsewhere, that weren't necessarily vaults. The Enclave certainly didn't seem to be devoting much effort into digging up any other vaults and trying to use these human stock there to rebuild civilization. Fourth, a lot of people did die because the vaults didn't work. Some suffered worse fates. Nonetheless, even members of the Enclave probably could not answer the question of who created the vault experiments and their reasons, as many of the people responsible for the creations of the vaults died long ago, and many records were lost in the Great Static of 2077. President Richardson was familiar with the purpose of the vaults, but he never saw them as more than little test tubes of preserved humans he could mess with. Glossary. Vault tech is used in two different ways in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. The correct version is Vault Tech. Behind the scenes. In case you guys were ever curious, the man behind the spoken, voice-acted dialogue in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 was Marco Green, the former head of Interplay's Dragonplay division, and our old D&D division before it became Black Isle. He's got a good way with words.